Hey everyone, hope you guys are enjoying Monster Hunter in whichever fashion you're choosing to play it as. And today I'm going to go over some really interesting quotes that we have from the producer of the Monster Hunter franchise, Ryozo Tsujimoto, as part of his latest Gamer Braves interview that he did with Vincent L. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for you guys to check that out if you so desire. There are many questions in this interview that he did. I've made two separate videos already covering, I think, most of the important topics that we have seen being touched upon. But one of the things that I certainly want to leave to last is the future of the franchise as a whole, as he's basically not only talking about what's worked for the franchise before in some of the questions that we're going to be talking about and some of the answers that he gave, but also what he thinks is going to work next for the future of the series. So I certainly encourage you guys to check out the entire article if you want to see some of the things that I didn't necessarily get to talk about in this video, but I've already put out two other separate videos before, so I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for that. In one of the questions, he's asked that in June of 2023, it was revealed that the Monster Hunter World is Capcom's best-selling title so far. What do you think has contributed to the success of this title? Ryozo Tsujimoto mentions that in terms of the Monster Hunter World being the best-selling title for Capcom as Capcom titles go, he wasn't really thinking much about it. It's kind of a conclusion to the fact that the development team at all tried to make the world a game that was accessible as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. For instance, World gained a large PC audience enlarged to a global market, and it was because of the development team's efforts to make it accessible to as many fans as possible. And this is pretty much right in line with everything that we have heard from not just Ryozo Tsujimoto, but other producers for the Monster Hunter franchise and developers as well, where they talk about accessibility as one of the main keys, the structure, one of the pillar ideas for next Monster Hunter titles. They said that heading into Rise, they said the same thing going into Sunbreak, and of course now they're hinting at it with the purpose of talking about the next mainline game. Accessibility is going to be one of those. Remember, accessibility doesn't mean the game's made easier, it just means that it's going to try to be on as many platforms as possible, and of course make it so everyone can have a good time. Different layers of difficulty, but also everyone being able to get their hands on it. It shouldn't even surprise you, especially when you see like the iPhone 15 Pro or whatever being able to run like fully flagged console games now. It wouldn't surprise me if Capcom at some point just says, especially when they're supporting it with like Resident Evil, what is it, 4 remake or whatever it is that's going to be on that device. It wouldn't surprise me that they also try to put the next Monster Hunter game on one of those phones as well. It's just shouldn't be surprising anyone going forward. In another question, they ask him, so 3 out of the 5 Capcom titles right now in sales are Monster Hunter titles, with Rise and World being at the top 2. How does it feel being in charge of the series while in the middle of such a high popular boom? Ryozo Tsujimoto mentions that now that Monster Hunter is hitting the 20th anniversary, it feels like a lot of gratitude, all of the support and the love of the development teams to the fans that have been shown, all of the effort that has been put into building the series throughout the years, and he just thinks that it didn't happen overnight, right? It wasn't magic. And just like he's full of gratitude with all of the fans and wants to keep facing Monster Hunter, letting it grow as the series goes with the fans and the developers going forward. So he's just seemingly grateful of all the fans and all the support that has gotten, but of course it has been a lot of work. In another question, they're asking him, looking back on your expectations as the producer of the series, what has been your most memorable moment achieved? And how did that shape your vision for the franchise moving forward? Ryozo Tsujimoto brings back a quote from something that happened to him before, where he says that there's really not a single moment that is defining or really jumps out. But there was a time where he participated in an event in Japan that this was back during the release of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Fans came up to him and asked him where he wanted to be able to fight essentially 2 Rajangs all at once. So he went back into the office and immediately made that happen. And we have been able to see pretty much that ongoing forward, where Rajang has become a little bit of a staple DLC quest, where 2 Rajangs or 2 Furious Rajangs, as we ended up seeing in both Rise and Sunbreak, just becomes something of a staple fight where players get to have their butts kicked a little bit by those 2 behemoths. In another question, they ask him, Monster Hunter has built a dedicated global fan base over the years. what do you believe are some of the core elements of the series that have resonated with the players across different regions and cultures? Ryozo Tsujimoto mentions that in order to make Monster Hunter attractive to the audience in general, it is not really to think about the differences of each culture, but rather think about how every player will have similar experiences. For example, when you're playing the game for the first time, if you're coming to a Monster Hunter as a veteran, there is kind of a core that I think how the players should feel, and it feels fun, and in person, say one region, there will probably be kind of similar to another region. How they experience Monster Hunter is tied back to the sense of a very great action, but also the achievements and accompanied for their first hunt. Stuff like that is how he binds together and for players to have a good time in any region. One other thing is that Monster Hunter at its core is a very multiplayer centric experience. One of the best parts of experience in the game is having all of these hunters come together to take down one monster. I would love to thank the global communities for coming together to play Monster Hunter, because they are really what makes the game great. And this a multiplayer idea is something that, of course, is you're gonna have to keep expanding. Of course, we've talked about cross-play and cross-progression and cross-saves becoming pretty much unanimous in almost every facet of like big franchises. FIFA's done it, Madden's done it, Call of Duty's done it. All these major online-focused franchises have done it, and Capcom still refuses to do it with Monster Hunter, and you would imagine the next mainline game to do just that, especially when it comes to just the accessibility access that they alluded to in the very first question. Lastly, they ask him that a lot of Southeast Asian players have fond memories of going out to cafes and playing games like Portable Third together. How does the Monster Hunter series work towards keeping this kind of feeling and enjoy hunting? Ryozo Tsujimoto mentions that one of the things is that multiplayer as a functionality is very important to the Monster Hunter series as a whole. What I want to first denote is that when you're playing Monster Hunter, you are not really competing for rankings. You are not winning anything, just getting around and mix crafting items. You are not really winning awards for being the top hunter. So the level playing field for all players is even, and anyone can just join anyone. When you hunt and defeat a monster, you get the rewards for crafting, but that's not based on how fast you did the hunt or how well you did it. It's based on probability. So even if you're a first-time player and you're not that great, you still have the same probability as everyone else, and from there on you grow together with everyone as the same level. So pretty much this idea that we have seen introduced in, for example, Monster Hunter Now, where you need to finish hunts faster to be able to get a better rank, that's a Niantic thing. That is not a Capcom thing. So a lot of players have seen, for example, complain that they hope that some of the ideas from now do not seep over to the next mainline game. It doesn't necessarily seem to be like that's going to be the case, based off of the fact that when the core team wants it for you to be able to have fun, that is basically going to be their goal. Niantic's experience with Monster Hunter Now is for you to be able to pay continually and accessibly as possible. And that's not really what Monster Hunter is all about, which is why that game is struggling to begin with. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. Link in the description below once again to the Gamer Braves article with Vincent L, where he talks to the producer Ryozo Tsujimoto. And like I mentioned at the top of the video, there's 2 other videos that I already made where he's giving out different quotes regarding new monsters and what he thinks Monster Hunter 6 will be like. So hopefully you guys check those out. But if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.